Great, here we go. Okay, so let's just get ourselves settled in. And we're going to set the intention for this meditation tonight to open up and create space in the mind and in the body. And we're going to start with some mindful observation, shifting our attention from doing and action to observer. We're going to start by bringing our attention into the heart center and into the chest. And we're going to observe the breath as it comes in and out of the body. We're not going to attempt to change the breath in any way. Letting the body settle into its natural rhythm, watching the breath moving in and out. Maybe the breath starts out a little sporadic as we settle into this space. And again, giving ourselves permission to observe the exact movement as it is. What is here with the breath? Is the breath moving in sync with the opening and expanding of the rib cage? Are the shoulders lifting and rising on the in-breath? We are here to witness. Witness the breath as it moves through the body. So what we're going to do gently is we're going to shift our attention. We're going to bring our attention down to the bottom of the feet, like a flashlight shining on the bottom of the feet. We're going to bring our attention down to the bottom of the feet. And if your feet are resting on the floor, I want you to imagine that you've just dip them in paint. And now you're going to get a sense of what is the imprint that your feet have made on the ground. What imprint would that paint leave on the ground? Maybe you notice the imprint of your big toe. Maybe you notice these little dots where all the other toes gently touch the ground. And the pad of the foot, this beautiful arching shape. And can you get a sense of the pad of the feet touching the ground? Where does this contact begin? And where are the edges of that contact? Maybe at the edge of that contact, you notice the arch of your foot lifting off the ground slightly. Bringing that flashlight of attention to the arch of your foot and the side of your foot. What does the contact feel like here? How are the feet resting on the ground? And it's okay if the feet aren't resting against a surface. Hold your attention in this space and recognizing the edge of the feet. And then shifting to the pad of the heel. And what can you notice here? The softness at the surface, maybe the pressure within the heel. Shifting into the mode of compassionate observer. With curiosity for this space. The space where we connect to the ground. The space with so many pressure points and connections to the rest of the body. Starting now to pull the attention to the entire bottom of the foot, expanding our awareness. I want you to bring your attention to the very surface of the bottom of the foot, the space that connects us to the ground, this edge of the body. The space that feels like a boundary between yourself and the ground, or yourself and the room around you. And I want you to start imagining this surface starting to pixelate slowly and slightly. And I want you to see if you can get a sense that even though there is a boundary here, and even though there is a surface here of tissue and skin, that this surface is not solid. That this surface that feels so much like form is actually vibrating and has space within that surface. And again, like a microscope, going in just a little bit closer, bringing your attention still to the bottom of the feet, seeing if you can open up the lens on the bottom of the feet. Zoom in a little closer on those cells. See if you can recognize the space within the skin. There we go. Right. Opening up, letting our attention shift from form to vibration. Really intending to find the space between these cells at the bottom of the feet. Really opening up that connection. Allowing that energy to move through. Allowing ourselves to recognize the space in the contact with the bottom of the ground or the room we're sitting in. And giving ourselves permission to let energy move through this space. Grounding down into the space below us, into the earth. Out into the room around us, which grounds down into the earth as well. And letting go of the construct of boundary between the bottom of our feet and the earth below us. opening of space, this release of energy, this grounding of energy moving through. Relinquishing, releasing, letting go. And with this same awareness, with the same intention to find the space between, I want you to bring both of your feet, all of the foot, into your awareness in the same way. Can we shift our observation from focusing on the physical structures of the feet to focusing on the space that exists? And recognize that as the feet are in the room, the space of the room is not separate from the space within the foot. Giving ourselves permission to be curious about, to wonder about the space between the cells and between the structures, and how that touches the space around the feet as well. And observing this as a curiosity and a gentle space of compassion. No forcing or efforting required. Just observing space and the interplay of the space around us with the space within us. Then we're going to move up to include the lower legs and the upper legs. And as this part, this lower part of the body, the upper leg, lower leg, the feet, come into your awareness, setting that same intention to gently and with curiosity observe the space within. No requirement to create space or force space. This space that is already here. Shifting from observing matter to observing the space around the lower body and within the lower body. Breathing gently with this awareness. The space that connects everything. No separation between ourselves and the room around us. The cells of the body, although held together are still held together within this space. And now extending that spotlight, extending that flashlight of attention, drawing it all the way up to the top of the shoulders. So observing now from the bottom of the feet, all the way up the legs, lower abdomen, upper abdomen, rib cage and shoulders, including the arms. Breathing with this awareness. Setting the intention again to observe the space. Letting go of the awareness of form and welcoming in the awareness of space. Welcoming that space between the cells and even within the cells to come into your awareness. This body that we perceive as form, giving ourselves permission to pay attention to the space within the form. And breathing with this awareness, this gentleness, this curiosity to know this part of ourselves. This body that's almost entirely space. And then extending that flashlight, that spotlight a little bit further again, broadening that view to extend the head and the whole body into this space. Setting the intention to bring our awareness to the space within and between. The same space that is shared with the body and the space around us. And as we breathe with this awareness, and as we bring breath to this awareness, can we start to expand the space on the in-breath and shift the space on the out-breath? And with gentleness and with curiosity, on the in-breath, imagining how the breath opens and extends the space between the cells. And the out-breath gives us chance to move the cells and soften the cells. And again, on the in-breath, observing the opening of the space between. And imagining on the out-breath this sort of lubrication of the cells, bringing this fluidity and flexibility and movement to the space between the cells of the body. There's no need to force the breath. Bringing space with the in-breath, gently. This space that's already connected to the room around you. Just opening ourselves more to the space we're already in. And should you find any areas of tightness or tension, any areas that feel like they'd like to be softened and opened and reminded of the space that exists, I want you to bring that spotlight of your attention to that space with compassion and curiosity, with gentleness, and setting the intention to move into the space within this tightness. Bringing your awareness and your remembrance of the space within. And breathing with this gentleness and breathing with this observation. And maybe you observe within this tightness some density, and maybe you're visually observing the sense of clouds or heaviness or maybe darkness within this space. What we're going to ask to do is we're going to ask Spirit to come into this space and forgive and release any thoughts that might be contributing to this cloudiness or this darkness or this density that believes itself to be trapped in this space. We're going to breathe with that release. Recognizing that these clouds are a thought that have believed themselves to get stuck in form. Just like clouds, they aren't stuck in this physicality. They're not stuck in this form. With our breath and with our welcoming of light and healing into this space, we'll start to recognize this space within. Start to see the light in this space and start to bring our attention to the space within. Breathing and opening. Relinquishing and releasing. Forgiving and releasing at the level of thought and at the level of mind. That which is holding these clouds or this density in space. And breathing with this release. We're going to shift our attention slightly now. We're going to bring our attention to this beautiful orb of light at the center of the heart chakra. And this orb may be white or it may be gold, maybe some soft hues of pink or silver. However that shows up for you, really bringing our attention to this orb of light in the heart chakra. There's nothing to do with this orb, but to observe with curiosity. What is here? What does this light look like? Watching as it shifts and the light moves through it. Recognizing that it might sometimes look like a full orb of light, or it may shift and move around. showing us the fluidity of light and the fluidity of this space. Letting go of the confines and the structure of form. Bringing our awareness to the movement of the light within this space. And with gentleness, recognizing that we don't have to fight to hold this orb of light in space. It's already there. It's already glowing and moving and shifting and radiating out. It's already moving within the cells of the body and moving within the space of the body. And as we sit in the space of the heart center, we're going to ask Spirit for some guidance to clear and release, to forgive and let go of any grievances that we might be holding on to that keep us from welcoming this light within us to shine so brightly. Asking for guidance to forgive and release any blocks or boundaries or fears that we may have placed between ourselves and our heart center, between ourselves and that light that emanates from within, and asking for Spirit to release and relinquish those grievances. And breathing with that release. With gentleness, with compassion, softening, recognizing that there's nothing here for you to do, but extend the invitation to release. There's nothing you need to know how to do or worry about how to do. Extending the invitation to Spirit to guide you through. To forgive and release the awareness of your heart center, which is already within. To release any blocks to love's constant presence within your system. and within your awareness. And as we extend that invitation, and as we welcome that release, we're going to spend a couple minutes focusing on our breath, focusing on the extension and expansion on the in-breath, and the movement on the out-breath. You are so loved. You are held in grace and forgiveness. You have not been forgotten by love. It's about remembering. Remembering your space within divinity. Remembering the wholeness. Remembering your connection to spirit and divinity, to creator, to the oneness that is love and peace, joy and happiness. And extending that love. Extending that love to yourself, to the room around you. Recognizing that you are connected to all of that space. And as you welcome that remembrance of your love and your divinity, you extend it to everything in all directions around you. Softening the shoulders, softening the eyes, softening into that space. This space of peacefulness. This space of wholeness. so much gratitude for the love that you are extending, for the compassion and the forgiveness that you represent. The last couple breaths as we sit in this space, knowing that you are connected to all that is love, extending all that is love. And within this space, as we sit here connected, if there's any spaces of tension or grievance, anything that comes to mind that you would like to extend this love to, taking a minute to bring that person or that experience, that idea to mind. And observing with gentleness and compassion and forgiveness that no matter what this grievance, no matter what this tension, it exists within this space of compassion. Within this space of spirit, that no matter how it presents in form, it is one with all that is, connected by love, extending spirit, offering love. And then gently welcoming yourself back into the space that you never actually left. Whole and innocent, forgiven and released. Taking a few gentle breaths, and I'm just gonna stop the recording